Alright, I'm recording this video because for the first time in about 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years, I've been able to function because my food has not been medicated with psychiatric medications I don't need. And I am extremely grateful to the doctors here in Germany who have finally taken me off of those medications. And again, I don't know why anybody was given the perception that I should have been on any of those medications that they had put in my food for the last 2.5 years, especially when nobody actually spoke to me. And I wasn't making any sort of these videos so you couldn't, see what I was thinking or anything, or see how I was. But what they did for the last 2.5 years is pretty much some of the worst things that you could do to somebody. To me, it is the most unconscionable thing to do. The medications were just put in food, no regard to dosage, no regard to which combination of medications it was. And it's only been recently that I've been able to have food that did not have medications in it. I pretty much for the last about 3 or 4 weeks, and for the most part. But what they had done, what other people had done, in regards to putting medication in my food, is just about the worst possible thing you can do to somebody. And I can't understand why anybody would do that or think that it was right or think it was necessary. And I think back to when it started. I was still in LA, renting a room in a house, which, I didn't really have much choice then. I was under economic duress, as I call it, and called around the only room I could rent, and they started trying to medicate my food then too. And I assume it was because of the things that were going on in the place, which should not have been going on, which I contend were not my fault. And none of this should have happened. None of this should have started. And even in the context of what I speculate, doctors, for example, who never bother speaking to me, they just observe what I do and come to their own conclusions, their own assumptions, which are horribly inaccurate. They just believed that, I wasn't going along with whatever, well, let's call it the belief they have on the internet, the social media, thinking that, I should be working in entertainment, even though I had even called my old acting teacher back then, asked her, hey, how do I find an agent? How do I do this? Somebody that has done this, how do I go about doing this? And nobody was calling me for anything. And this is what I mean, where people do a lot of things that make no sense. And in regards to that, I guess part of that was my fault as well. I was of the mindset that, if I did any of the entertainment stuff, it would have to be completely exclusive of anything else I wanted to do. Like, what I wanted to do and the things in entertainment were mutually exclusive. And, I've come to realize they're not. And that's why, recently I have been sending out, I've been making these videos because, honestly, I hate it when people lie to me and pretend they don't know what's going on the internet, when they very well do, and they make it very obvious that they do, especially when they make the gaslighting references. You make it very obvious that, the stuff on the internet happens, and I don't appreciate the fact that people lie about it, and, making these videos kind of takes it away. Oh, look, saw you on the internet, that sort of thing. But what I had been doing recently was that I had been sending out things to agents. I actually talked to one lady who finally responded back to me. Maybe that'll turn into something that makes sense, something useful, good. If not, okay. But the whole point being is that the the stuff that people believe essentially is on them. If they want to make it happen, they'd make it happen. They'd be calling me with this stuff, making it available there. They'd be calling me with something to do in entertainment or whatnot. And hey, why not do it, right? Doesn't prevent me from doing anything else that I want to do. Which was my my own fault and my misperception of things in the past. And in case anybody is wondering, now that I am in a much better mindset because I'm not being drugged, doctors have prescribed me something, but it doesn't have the horrible side effects that what I call the stupid things that people would do by putting medication in my food was doing, to the point where, again, this is one of the worst things that you could possibly do. I don't know what they expected from it, especially when they saw the results. I could not function. I could not stay awake. I could not sit up. I couldn't even sit up to make one of these videos. I couldn't speak coherently. I couldn't think. It was some of the worst things on earth that you could possibly do to somebody. And it wasn't only until the last few weeks here that I've been able to function normally because they haven't been doing that. And again, I'm extremely grateful to these doctors. So continuing on with what I was saying, now that I have been able to function again, now that I'm in the right frame of mind, I will be going back to the United States. I'm just letting people know, buddies like Zero Hedge, that sort of thing, wondering what's going on. I've been able to keep up with the internet sort of thing because of haven't had the internet the last couple weeks. But I will be going back to the United States, primarily because, much better, I can function again in a much better frame of mind. I'm still not exactly sure how. It looks like I'm going to Ireland first. And then I guess from there, end up going back to the U.S. This is one of those things. I mention this because I know there are people who do watch this stuff on the internet, and it's for people like, for example, I'd mentioned one girl who was literally banging on my door saying, "Come back." Those are the good people. Those are the people that should be spending time trying to, do what they can to help me out. Make sure they make it obvious that they're helping me out. And what I mean is that because there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. For example, to figure out how to get back to the U.S., I was expecting that one of my friends would be helping me out. And for some reason, he feels compelled not to. It's very odd. You think people would want me to be going back to the U.S. But, and one of the main things is money, the ability to do so. And it's just, I think, just kind of stupid, the things that go on the internet. And that's kind of what I meant, for people who are on my side, who are, I don't know how you put it, fans or politically aligned, that sort of thing, I do ask that you people, go out of your way to help. I mean, there have been people that have opened up their houses, rooms to stay in, that sort of thing. People have helped out with cash, people helped out with little things there, little whatever. But for those people who this does mean something to, and what I mean is, the stuff in entertainment, well, you work in entertainment, make it happen. The stuff with the political stuff. I thought about it. If these people actually want me to be some sort of political figure, hey, why not? As long as it makes sense. And if you don't, or if it doesn't, and if nothing happens, well, okay. But that was on you. You created these situations. You go on the internet, and I use the word conspire, but, those people, I guess, are on my side, get together and plan stuff out, and they can plan stuff out that makes sense, is what I'm saying here. And okay. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So yeah, if that's what you want, well, create the situation in which it happens. I mean, this is to me some of the craziest stuff. Where it's like now where why am I in a position where it's difficult to go back to the United States if that's what other people have wanted and can easily make happen when they get together on that internet and do their what coordinated efforts. So to speak. I don't want to say conspiracy because that would have a negative connotation, but if they coordinate something, why not coordinate something that makes sense? Make it obvious that it makes sense too. It's kind of like, when I had spoken to people and I told them, I can tell you all the bad things that have happened, and if you can tell me the good, please do. Please tell me how you were helping me, because it should be obvious to me. But I'm only saying this in the context of, there are things that people want or assume or demand or expect. I don't know how to best phrase it. But, well, then those people should get together on the internet and make it happen. I'm not even completely opposed to it now. I think that's another reason why I'm making this video is because I'm saying that, I had taken an antagonistic stance towards a lot of things, and then maybe I should not have. Maybe, just if something made sense, yeah, okay, let's go. Let's go along with it. Let's do it. That's kind of my attitude now. That's all I'm saying. But I hope the people behind it who, kind of plot this out on social media, the internet, whatever, won't do it such that it makes sense. And there's a lot of other things too. I mean, I think people know the things that I want or expect at this point, and they have deliberately gone. Some people who might have been against it deliberately went against it, against what I would want. Well, I mean, don't expect the antagonism then, or don't not expect the antagonism then. But for those that are on my side, well, make the stuff that makes sense happen. I mean, and my expectations and such. And yeah, I'm not even saying no now. I'm not saying anything bad. It's just, and it's like that girl I mentioned, it's people like that, who should make themselves obvious, or make it obvious that they're helping or that they are on my side or that sort of thing. Because then that sort of thing makes sense and it makes you want to go along with whatever it is, great things that they expect or whatnot. But again, I was making this video because I think there were some people who didn't know what to expect or what was going on or what was going on through my head or whatnot. But that would be it. The stuff that happened over the last 2.5 years absolutely should not have happened. I should not have had dead food medicated. And I've said it before too. I mean, with the time and effort that these people did, that somebody could have just paid me. I mean, they could have just paid me and explained things to me in a manner in which that makes sense. Because then if it makes sense, of course, okay, I'll go along. Where whatever they expected or whatever they, thought would happen because of whatever actions they took on the internet, such as medicating that food, well, maybe they should have just paid me instead. And I was in a very, very bad frame of mind. And, of course, very antagonistic because you're being drugged into a painful stupor, painful headaches. You can't think, you can't function, you can't sit up, you don't feel well, you can't get up, go about, do whatever it is that you regularly do. I mean, I don't know what anybody expected from that, especially when they literally watched the results in real time on the internet, too. So, but now that, I'm in much better condition, do plan on going back some way, somehow. Hopefully in a somebody will find something that makes sense pretty soon, or my friend can help me out, whatever else, or that agent can come up with something that makes sense that pays or whatnot. Because again, cash is mostly money is mostly the issue, because that was what was being used to try to put me under duress. Well, instead of trying to control me, maybe people should have acted in a manner that made sense. And somebody should, explain to me instead of lying to me, whatever is going on in a rational manner. And I'm a rational person, and I go along with it, if it makes sense. But that's just a difficult concept for some people who are so used at control or coercion or influence or manipulation, whatever you want to call it. And for some reason, they thought the way that they went about doing things was the right way to go about doing it, and it absolutely was not. But I was just making this video, these sorts of, that's another thing. I at one point started making these videos years ago. It's about 7 years ago, these sorts of videos. And I stopped doing it because, my IP was being stolen and it was just being put up anyway. But now I'm doing it again, like I said, because, it's for the people, who are on my side, who watch this, who would want to see this sort of thing. And it's also for the fact that, these people who were doing what they shouldn't have been doing were just doing it because nobody bothered to ask me, nobody bothered to talk to me, and I'm quite isolated. My friends and family don't talk to me. I suppose they can't, or they feel like they can't, or some of them I've driven away, which is also something I've been trying to amend. I've reached out to some old friends recently, and tried to say sorry, tried to get back in touch. Hopefully with a few of them I'll get back in touch, that sort of thing. There are also some family members I've tried to get in touch with. A bad one was with my dad and how that ended up, and I don't think it should end up that way, especially now in the twilight years of that person. But So there are a lot of things that are changing now. A lot of things I'm trying to make amends with as well. But the point being, though, is that I'm doing this, or I'm doing these videos because it wasn't for those people specifically, but for the people who do watch this stuff on the internet. Well, I'd rather you not pretend that you don't do that. I'm tired of people lying to me about it. And it's just to put my thoughts up there as well, so people aren't assuming crazy things or whatnot, coming to wrong conclusions, that sort of thing.